Okay, it is 5:15, Thursday, August 24th. We are in the City Hall chamber and we are having the marketing and communications meeting. So I'll call the meeting to order. Again, Lori has asked to make sure our mics are on so that it is recorded so she can take minutes later on. So the first item on the agenda is to approve the previous meeting minutes from July 20th.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of July 20th, 2023.
I will second that motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Question quick, does somebody need to do the dial-in?
Does somebody know how to do the dial-in?
Yeah.
Just something Kathy was supposed to dial in, so I didn't know if she was supposed to be on the phone or not.
Welcome to Google Meet. Enter the meeting pin. Thank you. You have joined the call, but you are the only one here.
Okay. The first item under general agenda items is just kind of an informational thing from Kathy. I had asked her a little bit more about clarification on budget guidelines and expense guidelines and like the ads that we decided to place with Midwest Communications, because they're citywide type ads. Those will come out of the marketing and communications budget. But the ad that we did for, that we're looking to do for the wedding planner, that will actually come out of the Expo's budget. So just as a general guideline for us going forward, for example, she had said, you know, like Tammy's, when she has things for enrichment center, that comes out of their budget, or the park department, things like that. So just as a general guideline for us to follow, that was good to clarify.
So do we need to send that to the Expo Center Festival Grounds Committee to approve or deny if they want to do this?
I don't think we do it this time. They really don't. That was just something that we kind of went through, and I'm sure if they don't want us to advertise their Expo Center, they'll let us know. Item number 2, consider and approve Midwest Communication ads for the online marketing. The ads that are in your packet, the top ones say come work, play, and live here, and then the second one towards the bottom, the second set says come work and play here in northern Wisconsin. The ones that we are going with are the ones that say in northern Wisconsin, just to kind of bring the Merrill point to home, so they're not looking at Merrill and wondering which community it is or whatever, but it was just kind of something along those lines to make that a little more clear. Just a general information, I was talking with Cameo and she said to put it in layman's terms that our ads will run basically anywhere there's a screen being used by anyone in our target market, and that we would likely not actually see any of our ads because we're not in our target market because of zip code and because of other things. So she said, if you're seeing your ads, then I'm not doing my job well. So that's something to keep in mind. And then the monthly reporting, or I guess we can get reporting as often as we want from them, but the reporting from them will give us clarification of the impact that the ads are having. And she again had said, you know, we give it a good 3 months to start seeing the impacts, you know, really kind of kick in. But so I guess I would entertain a motion to approve these ads to start running them with the September ad campaigns.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? There's no one. Okay, item number 3, discuss and consider the WEDC Talent Marketing Grant. This is the economic development grant that Scott had brought to us back, I think, in April or May. And it had a very short deadline at that time. We were kind of at the end of the cycle. And so I had reached out to see if it had been refunded, which it has. So I'm just bringing this here for consideration to see if there's thoughts on possible uses, if we should be applying for this in any way. This seems like something we would want to pursue. The only things that I would keep in mind is that it's $1 for $1, so we actually have to spend the money first to get reimbursed for it, so we have to keep that in mind with the budget items that we have available for us to spend. And we probably would need to have the assistance of department head, someone at City Hall to help us kind of oversee the grant process and to oversee the expenditures and things like that. So I don't know if anyone has any immediate thoughts or any immediate ideas as to what we could use this for. There's some specifics in here as far as, you know, what we can use it for, what we can't use it for. And I'm willing to just, you know, bring this back next meeting if you guys want to think about ideas.
I have a question.
Sure.
I think a good place to start would say how much do we have to spend, and then we could go back to the plan that we've developed and maybe pull things out from that would align with what they're asking for.
Okay.
So, you know, I know that we're still trying to figure out somewhere how the budget works from the spectrum. But I mean, if we said, you know what, we feel confident we can get $20,000 from the spectrum budget, and they would match at 20, then we'd have 40. Then we could pull from that plan and say we'd like to increase the number of ads, or we'd like to do a little more targeting, or, you know, there's a couple things we could do. If we say we've got 10,000, then we would say, okay, this is it. So I think it would help to have a budget to work with it.
Okay, and that's actually one of the items on the agenda, so
Okay.
maybe we can discuss that at the budget, and then, like I said, we can come back to this at the next meeting then, if we want to get more specific, once we have a dollar amount in mind, or...
Have we applied for this before?
No.
No.
Never. Who would apply for this?
More than likely, Corey and I, Madonna and Steve would put it together and
That helps.
some help.
And we would pull from the plan to fill this little box out here.
Sure.
It looks like everything would have to be outside of the state of Wisconsin or outside of certain industries where you're not cannibalizing on.
Yep, and we're right there.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, any further communication, or we want to just bring that back next time after we've discussed the budget, then we can bring it back to the next meeting?
Just, you know, Midwest did a good job of turning the ads around. They took our suggestions and made them. So I think, you know, they've shown they're a good partner.
Okay, item 4 on the general agenda items is update on the potential costs of the 2024 Visitors Guide. Sarah, I don't know if you were able to get any information right now? Okay. And I guess that's something we can keep in mind too, as far as, you know, what it would cost to put the ads in the same size ads. And I can reach out to, is it Jennifer, that probably would go and get better ideas, but I think the airport had an ad in there, and I believe, did you say that would be something the airport put their own ad in, so that would come out of the airport's budget? So I guess, again, anything that would be specific or general city type things we would want to try and cover, and if there's specific things that the park department or recreation or Merrill Enrichment Center wants to cover, that they would do that directly with them for that. So I will reach out and see if I can get some more information on that. Okay, item number 5, continue discussion on the marketing consultant options. And I think what we really need to discuss here is And I went back today, and I was just telling John this, I went back and looked at the strategic plan to see what the whole purpose of the marketing committee was to be. And basically there were two central purposes. One was to bring transparency to the community as far as local government things that are going on, local happenings, that, to try and keep this city residents informed. And the second thing was to assist in bringing new people to Merrill to live, to work, to play, to recruit. That was kind of the two principal things that we were creating this committee for. So I guess my question, because we've not been able to settle on whether we need to look at an individual consultant or whether we need to look at a, just extension of ad possibilities and outreach in that way. I guess my first question is what are the gaps that we need to fill? What do we need to fill? And Scott, maybe you are.
Yeah, there's three things, because you and I had that meeting, and I've been thinking about doing more of a part-time position. So if we had to focus this person on something, what would we focus on? And I narrowed it down to three things that I would recommend you consider. The first one is PR and media. Getting out there in the news. Whether it means we had Channel 7, we had Channel 9, we had Photo News. We got picked up by even the Wausau. So the more that we can get picked up by news stations, or even just the distribution of press releases, even though they may not get picked up, they get out on the news wire, and all those contribute to basically the second thing, that we need somebody that knows SEO, search engine optimization, how to use the different channels in order to help us rise up basically on Google searches and things like that. So, and a lot of that is the PR and the media relations aspect of that. So someone that knows SEO and knows how to work it, and then the website, so I put kind of the SEO and the website the same thing, because by keeping your website up to date and fresh with new material and new content, that really, really helps your Google ratings as well. And the third thing is the Midwest Communications management of their services. Someone that can oversee, making sure that they're getting what they need, that we're reviewing the reports, making the adjustments that we might want to make based on, the reports that we get in. So those would be the three things I'd recommend we look at.
Okay.
Can I add one to that too? I always kind of look at this as the position being I'm a sports guy, but quarterback or a point guard. A gap that I think exists is to have that conduit from city to chamber to from department to department, to have somebody that funnels these thoughts and ideas into media posts, whether it be Facebook postings, press releases, information gathering, information dissemination, other things like that. I think we've been doing a better job since this committee of not having our own silos and only sharing our information when we feel like it's necessary, to whom we feel it is necessary, but to have somebody to be able to gather, collect. They would know what to look for, when to post it, how to post it, where to post it, media contacts, other things like Scott had said too. We don't have a specialist. I'm not a specialist, but we get by just fine. But it's just fine. I don't know if that's okay anymore.
Okay.
I think one of the advantages of that too would there be a consistency to what we're putting out there. When you do work in the silos, somebody might say X and the next person might say Y, and they don't do it maliciously. It's just because they're looking at it individually rather than through a filter. So I think that's a good suggestion.
Okay. Anyone have any other thoughts or comments?
Do we have, it's going to sound bad, do we have enough work for 20 hours a week?
I don't know. I don't work in marketing, so.
Well, I'm not saying anything bad about Church Mutual or your Scott, but you guys have a budget that big and you guys are all over the place. We only have certain things, and could we be doing more and making it a 20-hour position? Possibly, but Before this position was created, and again, it seemed like we were getting along. And that's why we had talked about having a consultant that was more task-driven, that was something where we come up with, or we talk to Midwest Communication, get some ideas from them or whoever from the outside, and come up with some ideas, and then let's concentrate on this for 3 months and this for 4 months. And that's kind of the direction that Corey and I and Steve and Madonna had talked about, but I don't know if that's something this committee thinks would be a good idea, or do we need somebody here 20 hours a week?
My opinion, you need somebody, whether it's 15 hours a week, 12 hours a week, 20 hours a week, that's all negotiable. And then we would take a look at this list and prioritize what we need them to do, whether it be, being a filter, whether it be the SEO, whether it be the website. But in particular, I think the number one thing that you really need is someone that's going to be out there working the media. Okay? So if I had to put a priority on a person like this, it'd be somebody that works the media, gets our word out there, gets our press releases out there, and then would probably my second priority be what Dan said, which would be being able to do that in a consistent messaging manner. So they could probably do that for less hours, take the website off their plate. I don't know who's going to manage. You guys could try managing Midwest. They seem pretty, with what they're doing, they don't need a lot of management, to be honest with you. If we end up increasing their services, then you're going to need someone more to manage them more. But my recommendation would be, if you want to reduce the hours, just reduce the priorities. And nobody in here, besides, well, no, I say that back because I've got 2 people next to me that probably know, and you probably know how to do press releases as well. But press releases are very important, and getting out in that media is really critical for us out there. Somebody wanted to say something?
That was you.
You're echoing.
Me.
Corey Bennett, 1004 Eastward. No, I'm joking. My question is, what do you think about us hiring not just a person, but a firm who has a number of talents at their disposal that we could task to do similar things?
You could probably hire Midwest to do that. And they have very affordable prices. So yeah, we hire firms because they've got the pool of talent.
That's kind of a thought process through the discussion that's been happening, but we don't have any experience in that, if it's realistic or not. So
It's realistic, might be more expensive. I'd check with Midwest and see what they bring to the table.
Well, and that's certainly something we want to do, because I think that, like Corey said, if you have a pool of talent, then they can, they have somebody who specializes in media, somebody who specializes in websites, somebody who, I'm sure they're going to know how to do the search engine, whatever, writing, type of thing. So I think that it would be worthwhile to look at that.
I think it's a good idea.
The media stuff, that to me I see as important, but I see that as more of a local thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, who's going to send it to the marketing? Who would send it then to the Midwest Communications to say we want this press release? Or
I think that's where we're coming to this committee, to get some ideas on how we task them with certain things, how we schedule. We talked about maybe scheduling the big events, right? But how do we buy everything else that we're looking for? We want so many of these per month. We want so many of those per month. And then they're just making contact with the team here and getting quick approval before they push them out, based on what we've already authorized.
Each department kind of does their own press releases as needed. That's what we've done in the past. Have they been organized under one thought? No. They have been X and Y, like you were talking, but
I think that in the past what we did, there was a lot of push to get us to do press releases, but in the case of my department, we have to control that pretty tightly. And I think the word was that it's okay to share this one, it's okay to share this one, and let that person or that team push them from there. It's probably different for every other department.
I would think if you would go with a firm, I wouldn't wouldn't see why it wouldn't be any different than contracting with another consultant. They would probably have a person that would be our liaison, that would visit with us from time to time, or weekly, or whatever it is, and if there are pieces of information that we can funnel through you two or the mayor or whoever it is, then they could say, well, we have these things coming up. That person would be able to say, yeah, this would be a perfect thing for this type of media or this type of blitz, whatever it would be. We have, this goes to this person. I'll get this lined up for you and get it back to you.
The conversation we did have with Midwest was somewhere along the line of, we're going to have to start thinking 6 months to a year ahead of time so we can prioritize and focus on what we want to do. If we're going to run everything through a committee, it takes a month and then another month, and by that time the event is over. So there would have to be some approvals that wouldn't have to go through the committee under whatever guidelines that would manage that. That's kind of the way it done.
Yeah, like I said, I just would treat it at the Smith Center. We use stainless specialists. Matt is our guy.
So Matt, like an account manager.
Yeah,
right?
well, he's the guy that knows our building in and out, fixes this, fixes that. If there's something that he doesn't know, he goes back to their other guy, a stainless specialist, who can do these things. I don't know that it's all that much different. It's just a different application. We're talking about media and disseminating information.
So I'm just going to be honest. I mean, that's why I'm here. I'd be cautious for a couple of reasons. One would be, quite frankly, getting yourself on a basis and doing things on a regular basis. You have your day jobs, you got this, and I hear more and more stuff getting piled on people's plates. One of the things that an agency or a person would do would be more proactive versus reactive. And it sounds to me you're looking for somebody to be more reactive. And I've seen where that's failed because things get bogged down, schedules, sorry I didn't get to it, I had an emergency at work, we'll get to it, it gets delayed, falls further down, and things just start not getting done in a cadence. Because one of the important parts of marketing and communications is a cadence, because people get used to, it's not necessarily always blatant, but it's more subliminal. They're used to seeing something. They're used to seeing something. Like if we just suddenly stop doing social media as often as we do, people would notice now. Well, they didn't notice before, but because we're doing it so regular now, they're used to it. And so, that'd be my only caution is that that you're asking them not to bring new ideas to the table. You're asking them you're asking them to wait for you to give them a schedule or to give them the direction to go, and they basically become order takers versus partners in helping us move it forward. So that's my only comment.
Not as much of a vision is what you're saying. Not much of a vision to the process. More
Right. It's just more of just we're doing this next month. Here you go. Rather than saying, what can we bring to the table? I would say I would look for more of a balance between reactive and proactive. I don't think one or the other is. Because we're proactive and reactive. That's the way it works. I just wouldn't put all your eggs in the reactive basket.
Scott, I was going to add that, I think the committee, we're at that point where no matter who, if we go with a firm or if we go with an individual, we're still going to look to them to give us some insight into developing a plan to work with and move forward, because obviously they're going to have far more experience than any of us are going to have. So I think that, I don't think it will necessarily be reactive. It will be, let's get something set in place and established and become more and more and more proactive as we move forward, just because of the position we're in of being so new to this.
Yeah, that'd be great. You were going to say something?
Kind of along the same lines. I think if we had companies, again, say Midwest Communications, and we ask them for 6 ideas what's worked in other communities. And we bring them back here and say, let's concentrate on these 2 for the next 3 months.
That's a great idea.
And prioritize and have them be a partner. You know, and they have several other clients. They know what works and what doesn't work, so we'd have to lean on them. That's draw from a wealth of knowledge that they have, and I think we'd get more for our money having a company do it rather than a person, and then that person we'd have to come back here, and then we'd have to hire a company to actually do the advertising. So there seems to be a step in there that I agree with you as far as the press releases. I'm hoping that we can handle that somewhat internally, and then lean on say Midwest when we need to. But I think there's a step in there that we're all kind of getting stuck on, that we need a person here that can get us to that level of advertising, to this, and we would like a company like Midwest to dumb it down where we can understand it. And I don't mean to offend the 3 marketing people, more than that. But I would think they'd be able to dumb it down for us where we can understand it.
Yeah, I wouldn't even use dumb it down, and I appreciate that term, but I think it's more a matter of just make it, you guys live in a different world. I mean, you'd have to dumb your stuff down for me, so it works both ways. So, you know, what we do at Church Mutual is we do quarterly. We plan out 4 quarters. And for those 4 quarters, I mean, you guys could probably know 80% of what's going to go on in here. You've got the fair, you've got the rodeo, you've got all these things that you could map out. And then you'd have those areas where you have opportunities to, you know, say, okay, we got this that came up we weren't expecting. But if you just took a look at those 4 quarters ahead of time, like you were saying, and map it out and say, we know these things are happening, and then Midwest can prepare materials and ideas on how to better promote those that maybe we've done in the past. And then that other 20% of stuff is something that they could contribute to based on their experience with other communities. They could say, you know, we also did this kind of thing, or we also did this, so they could bring that. But you probably have 80% of your content ready to roll.
Well, we could do some features, you know, like that focus on features on all the new housing we've done. You know, we could do a feature on the schools and the sports things that we offer in this community.
Yep.
We could do a feature on education and the NTC, the safety training facilities and stuff like that. So you could throw those in the mix also.
And then those things are going to also need to be updated on your website, so that when someone clicks on our ad about families and housing, and they go there and then they see something about the housing that's being built here, and then they go, that's really nice, and then they go and they check out the realtor. I mean, you see how this progresses down the line as we basically, everything we do is we try to continue the conversation with that person that clicks on that ad. Oh, what's this? Oh, what's this? Oh, what's this? And to the point where they're exploring Merrill online. You know, that's the ultimate goal. And then they come here. And then we tag them. But the geofencing, you know how that works? How Midwest has that stuff? So if they drive through that little circle right there and they clicked on one of our ads, we're going to know that they clicked on our ad, and we'll be able to increase the amount of ads we send their way.
Okay, any other conversation on this matter? Do we have any?
So to confirm, you're going to reach out to Midwest?
I'm sorry, what did you say, Scott?
I said to confirm, you're going to reach out to Midwest and see what they can bring to the table?
I guess that would be the confirmation.
Then do we look at a monthly budget? You know, for, say we had $48,000 budget, we tell them $4,000 a month worth of X, Y, or Z, you know.
Good.
Yeah, I think we could get proposals from them on what packages type things they could put together for that amount or whatever, you know, whatever.
And it is a professional service where we can, we don't have to put it out for RFP as far as that goes.
Well, that would also fit under that grant.
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Do you need a motion?
Yes.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Good.
Are we sure? Because I'm leaning on you guys to know if we need a motion or not.
Motion to move forward.
Was it motion to move forward with the firm idea? They look into it.
Pricing.
Yeah. Look into it, yeah.
I'll make a motion that we look at Midwest Communications as to what kind of work they can do for the city of Merrill, based on, I don't want to put a dollar amount on it yet, but just what they can do for us in those areas that you just discussed.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. I think we've had the discussion. I don't know if that's any further comment. Otherwise, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, then we will move forward with that for now. Okay, and then this is backwards, Scott, and I really debated which order to put this in. So there was no good order, but on packet page 12, this is from Kathy, this is from the Finance Director, basically showing this is as of July 31st. And as you can see, there's the line that says M&C Committee Resources for $110,800. That's basically been the marketing's budget for this year. And there's been the items underneath it, there's been money for the marketing contractor, the social media contractor, and the cell phone. So those, that's basically what the expenditures have been this year to date. Page 13 is just kind of a rough proposal of the same budget amount. If we were to go and just say we'd like to request the same budget amount from the council of the $110,000, and I just basically threw in the same numbers, saying if we had $50,400 for the marketing contractor position, or in this case the firm, whichever way it goes, that would work out to about $4,200 a month. Social media contractors about $2,000 a month, and then the committee resource about $3,000 a month. That is, you know, whatever advertising we choose to do, what marketing we choose to do, that would be citywide. And then I just kind of further broke out that $36,000 at the bottom with some potential places that would be spent on, you know. And then I listed some other potential sources of revenue. You know, this grant, any collaboration we can do with Lincoln County and their marketing is a possibility. Any collaboration we can do with the chamber again, you know. So those, I guess that's kind of where I'm leaning towards. I don't know if anybody has any suggestions or thoughts or specifics. I don't know that we need to be too specific with this right now.
The only thing I have to say is in the social media contractor position contract, it was for 26 just because of the 52 weeks in a year versus 50. So if it goes over the 24, is that an issue?
We can change that.
That was just something I noticed.
I did have a thought, but it is pretty specific. One of the things I know that the chamber did this year, which I thought was a really good idea, was they went to a few different like fairs and events and put up booths, Lincoln County Fair being one of them. And I can tell you, just being on the Lincoln County Fair Board, we had record year yet again for attendance. And that's a lot more, there's a lot more people going through the fair than that live in Lincoln County, most likely, I would assume. And I know there's a few people that do, you know, from Merrill that just don't go to the fair because they're like, well, it's there every year. There's some people that travel just to find fairs. So if we had some sort of booth at some of these, we'll call them fairs. I know you guys went up to Tomahawk back in like June, was it? I think it was. And had, I thought, good attendance from what Clyde had told me. If we had something that had, you know, some of our marketing stuff out there, some of our enrichment center, library, parks and rec stuff, I think it wouldn't be a terrible idea, and it probably would be fairly.
That's what we're here for.
I know.
So, yes, we plan to go again to like the Green Bay Sports Show. We want to go down to, I think it's Cedar Rapids or something in Iowa. there's Madison, lacrosse, we're looking at doing those sports shows again. So your city membership with the chamber would allow you guys to put like enrichment center or any type of pamphlets that we would then take to the sports shows potentially, either having like a throw $10 in kind of a deal, and we let all of our businesses potentially kind of hop on and go. That's something the chamber would have to work out, but that's something Cheryl and I discussed as well. So next year's county fair, we thought why not have like any of our businesses, which then could include you, throw whatever you want on our table. But that would be just something I think the benefit of being a chamber member would bring you. Obviously, it's up for the committee's discussion too. I just don't know that you'd want a dual resource or whatever either. So.
Sarah, can you send us the dates of some of those shows so that we can, you know, if there's sports shows, maybe some of the park and rec type things or the.
Yeah, we I think we have now under down. I always want to say underground, under down maps that we've created. So we've been bringing those to those. We're working with Tomahawk and creating like a biking, hiking, that kind of stuff. So it is kind of the tourism end of things that we are creating those types of things. But obviously, like if it's seen beneficial to have like enrichment center or airport or library or anything like that, you know, we would look to you guys to give us those supplies. Obviously, we can help get them printed or whatever we need to too. But yeah, I know most of the time it's like a January looking, and February through March type travel shows when you look at those. But
I'm just looking at this going, you know, we just actually had the conversation at Enrichment Center today about there are some people that just don't go on social media. So if we can try to still market through older means still, but do it smartly, you know, not just spend thousands and thousands of dollars putting ads in a newspaper that nobody reads anymore.
right, and that's where again tourism, the chamber has they reach out to me essentially. So like Fun in Wisconsin is a magazine that we're in, and different like ATV, biker guides, things like that as well. So.
Okay. Well, those things could certainly be, you know, budgeted in that first line item, you know, and maybe some of the other funding options, but
Maybe the grant can help us with that sort of thing.
possibly now.
Sarah, do you have pictures of your booths and stuff, how they're set up?
The booths, yes, I do.
Could you send that to me?
Sure.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Just wonder if there's somewhere we could set some.
That's usually up to Clyde, so, you know, if you don't like it, you can get mad at him.
Happy to.
Okay, any further conversation on the budget? Otherwise, I entertain a motion to approve it for sending it forward to council for the budget sessions.
I make a motion to send forward our budget request to the council.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and let's see, monthly reports. Hallie has her social media report in there, so if you have any questions on that, I'm sure she's happy to answer it. She just wanted to go through the survey results from the community night out with us. And I think that's what her handout is here.
Yeah, I wanted to wait until closer to the meeting here just to see if I got more surveys in, which I did not. But I felt like Community Night Out was a great turnout. We had 65 responses between that and the online survey that I posted on Facebook. As you can see, 87% follow the Facebook page, 26.2 don't for whatever reason, whether they didn't have Facebook, don't want to deal with the city of Merrill, because I got that response a couple times as well. But for whatever reason, they just didn't follow. But this is just I don't want to say a short list, but a list of what they would like to see on the Facebook page, because it's good to see what the community wants to see. And overall, it's not in there. They want to see more events. That is what I saw. Whether it is from local establishments, local businesses, companies, anything that we're doing here. I had a few people say that they wanted street updates. So getting them what they want to see, I think, is imperative because that's going to help. They want more communication. I had an ordinance that I posted 2 days ago or yesterday about carports, and the gentleman made a comment about, well, we would like to see daily ordinances. So
I'm sure Tom Hain can give you a whole list of them.
I'm sure, but if we can incorporate that maybe quarterly of doing some that are coming up, or like the winter every other side of the street kind of a thing, would be good.
I like number 2 that you have on the back.
Number 2. Yeah, I actually, when I applied for this position, I had said that as well. So I resonate with that one. Lay out all local events for the weeks. I'm a fan of live music, so I resonate with a lot of it. But
she does a really good job of that already. And that's where like her and I too both have talked. I think let's not recreate the wheel, let's work together on those types of things too. So yeah.
So I think it's a good list to work on and definitely grow from, because that's what I've been looking for. Just input from what we can do better for the page. I did have a few people that say that we're doing a great job growing the page and what we are posting, but I always believe that there's room for improvement. So if there's anything you guys would like to see, feel free to add to it or let me know. But there's one at the bottom that says dog with a clown costume. I plan on finding that for Halloween, just because then they can't say I didn't do it. So, yeah.
And you have a new puppy.
I do have a new puppy. Maybe I can make a photo op of my own. So.
All right, well, that's a long list of things, that's for sure.
And I shortened it down. The L's at the end are essentially tally marks. So there was a lot of more events. I like the people in Merrill highlights too. And that, along with, what was the one? The department features. Getting photos of the departments and what they do and how they're helping improve Merrill.
You know, one of the things the AAC does that John has had on his agenda is to do interviews with some of the business owners, do videos, interviews, and sit down with them, ask them questions, learn more about them. And I saw that was one of the things in here, especially with some of the new smaller businesses we have going in town here with some of the young kids, anywhere from the gaming, to some of the restaurants, to some of the other stuff that's going on. Some of that entrepreneurial spirit that we want to build here is actually being done with some of our younger folks, so maybe some interviews with them might help.
And some of the other communities, so Merrill Productions is a part of Wisconsin Community Media, and there's a lot of channels like ours that are a part of that for other cities. They do through the chamber business of the months, basically, where they go through and get information on these local businesses to try to sell that business to the community. And it's something you could try to do, I guess, through AAC, but I don't know if the resources are there for AAC. It's something that maybe the chamber and Merrill Productions could team up on, but that's be up to the chamber also. And
you're exactly right. The concept is a good concept.
Yeah.
And I know Ken had started with the member moments, and again, I get so much feedback. People love it, but I'm 20 hours a week, and I don't want really more. So, and making a video, especially for someone who's just learning it on their own, I'm not a professional on it by any means. It takes a lot of time. So yeah,
I'm more than aware of how much time a video takes.
I know you would understand that, but Clyde is like, let's do more videos. Make sure to get out and do more videos.
Hallie, maybe one of the posts you could put out there too is just the city of Merrill invites you to share this page. Share it with 5 friends or something like that. Just kind of a just something.
Well, and like I said too, I think a lot of these comments were are you actually following the page? Do you actually realize that you can see this first, or actually hit follow, not just like, or that type of thing too, so. Because it's like, she does do it, they don't see it.
Okay, well, looks like a good list of ideas to get started with and keep working on. So, did anybody have any questions on Kelly's report otherwise?
I think, when we're looking at this list too, this ties into what we were talking about earlier. If we got a Midwest Communications, they could look at this and come up with some ideas too, so, for some of their services. So I think it all works together.
All right.
I guess I got one other thing through her actual report. She had put down that YouTube currently had 15 subscribers for the main channel, 7 for the City of Merrill Meetings channel. I talked with her today. We're actually at 20 and 13 with almost 200 views on each of those channels for the last 28 days. So just wanted to let everyone know there's traction on there. The most liked or the most viewed channel too is our mayor's communications. So good job, Steve, you're famous.
You're a star.
I was going to comment, it was nice, the one that I did watch, where you put all the different, there's the story about the airport, and you had pictures of the actual airport with it, that I think that was well done to put all those things together.
I think as we move forward, and I've known this for a few years, and unfortunately the numbers keep changing, but video seems to be the thing that people gravitate to the most. They don't want to read a paragraph. They'd rather watch a 10-second video than read a paragraph on what's going on. So if we can utilize what we have already internally with Merrill Productions, I know my boss is more than game to do it because he's wanted that, but he doesn't know how to communicate it, unfortunately. So here I am.
Maybe put it in a video.
Well, it's interesting when you said that about the mayor's thing being one of the most popular. When we switched over from a written message to a video message from our CEO during COVID, viewership, people loved it, comments up, and now it's something that we've integrated into a regular thing because you're right, people want to hear from leaders.
Yeah. And Steve didn't take too much time, 5 minutes at most so
And
far,
they love
right,
that
Steve?
too.
Okay, any other comments? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to put the reports on file.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to put the reports on file. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And the next item on the agenda, public comment. Is anyone here that wants to make public comment? Looks like we're short on public, so that's my comment. Okay. The next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 21st at 5:15. That works for everyone?
I believe so.
And we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that.
So moved, and anyone, I guess all in favor say aye.
Aye.